Happy anniversary, McCormick Ranch! I am Jamie Urick, Executive Director of McCormick Ranch Property Owners Association, and I'm excited to share with you the history of McCormick Ranch. As we are currently celebrating our 40th year of community, a place residents and business owners are proud to call home. McCormick Ranch is the first and premier community in Scottsdale where owners work, shop, live, and play. I remember the first time I visited McCormick Ranch. As I walked through the incredible paseos of McCormick Ranch, I could not believe how beautiful the landscape was. The breathtaking mountain views and glistening lakes. That's when I began to realize what it means to be a well-maintained and flawlessly planned, master-planned community. It is with great enthusiasm that I share this McCormick Ranch history. You will hear from the original owners of the actual working ranch, the second family to build a home on the ranch, and longtime business owners. Even Arizona's own historian, Marshall Trimble, will share his favorite memory of the ranch. Enjoy the history of how an Arabian horse ranch surrounded by barren parcels and farmland has been transformed into one of the most successful and thriving master plan communities in the United States.
McCormick Ranch, with an estimated population of over 27,000 people, is one of the largest planned community developments in the country. The McCormick Ranch legacy began 40 years ago. What today is the City of Scottsdale's first upscale master plan community of 27,000 residents, with golf courses, lakes, miles of public trails, parks, shopping centers, an outstanding hospital campus surrounded by medical specialists and city municipal services, was once the 4,200-acre working ranch of Ann and Fowler McCormick. The adobe ranch home of Ann Fifi Potter Stillman McCormick and her husband, Fowler McCormick, president of International Harvester and grandson of Cyrus McCormick and John D. Rockefeller, stood a few hundred yards from the northeast corner of Scottsdale and Indian Bend Roads, where the Seville Center is located.
I'm going to relate some of the little-known facts of life on the McCormick Ranch in days gone by. Edith Rockefeller, John D.'s eldest daughter, was Fowler's mother. His father was Harold McCormick of Chicago, and grandfather Cyrus McCormick invented the International Harvester Reaper, known worldwide, not the spices. Fowler's first job was sweeping the floors at the factory, then as a salesman for the company. He told the story of visiting a farmer in Nebraska who let it be known he wished to replace all his old machinery. Another salesman got to him first, so he stood by and couldn't get a word in. Later, the farmer's wife invited them both to supper. Again, the guy blabbed on, so Fowler helped clear the table and helped the lady wash the dishes. They bid goodnight. He went back to his hotel. The next day, the farmer called and said, "McCormick, I want to place a big order with you. I appreciate that you're a fine gentleman." Deed done.
The McCormicks had been coming from Illinois to Arizona for a number of years, visiting Indian communities, purchasing quantities of Native American jewelry, and enjoying the warm winter climate, when in 1943 they decided to purchase property. Coincidentally, Merle Cheney, a retired chemist, had put his 7,000 square foot adobe home and 160-acre RP ranch on the market. In April 1944, the McCormicks purchased Mr. Cheney's ranch and desert home with its circular living room and wood-hewn beam ceilings. Eventually, the ranch, which was considered far north of downtown Scottsdale, in the midst of desert sage and mesquite, became the permanent winter residence of Mrs. McCormick. Through the years, property was added until it reached 7 square miles.
In the early 30s, they and Guy took the train to Lamy, New Mexico, hired an open-sided touring car and driver-guide, traveling around Santa Fe, the Pueblos, Grand Canyon, Las Vegas, and Valley of the Sun. When Mrs. McCormick's arthritis worsened, they began their quest for land in the Scottsdale area. They purchased the Cheney Ranch in the 40s, then added adjoining plots and ranches as they came up on the market. Fowler loved to ride and hoped to acquire more land so he would not have to stop and open gates as he rode. His words to me. Whilst fulfilling his position chairman of the board of the business in Chicago. He would come to Arizona every second week till his retirement. The most they ever paid for an acre of land on the ranch was $143.
Just a quick story. At that same area back in 1926, my grandpa ran cows there after the rainy season and when the grass was green and everything before it got too hot. And one day the guy that owned the property said to my grandpa, he said, I'll sell you this whole section here for $600. And Grandpa, of course, in his infinite wisdom, he said, what do I need with this worthless desert land here? I just want to graze my cows here when there's a little grass. And that corner is the corner of Indian Bend, the northeast corner of Indian Bend and Scottsdale Road.
They brought their prize herd of Ayrshire and Black Angus cattle to Scottsdale and took up part-time residency, still maintaining homes in Canada and Chicago, as well as a farm in Barrington, Illinois. A student of genetics, Mrs. McCormick acquired her first Arabian, the chestnut stallion Mustafa, when she was 69 years old. However, her greatest contribution to American Arabian breeding stock came in 1963, when she imported Nabor, who sired a total of 435 foals in Russia, Poland, and the U.S., 21 of which were bred by Mrs. McCormick. The McCormick's main living area was located on the northeast corner of Scottsdale and Indian Bend Roads. Just south, across Indian Bend Road, where the park now exists, were the alfalfa fields and the ranch bunkhouse, used as guest quarters for family members and visitors. This area served as the main kitchen and dining area for family activities. The bunkhouse, dating from before the McCormick Ranch era, is the only structure left on the original ranch.
I first became aware of what was going to become McCormick Ranch back in 1972. I was working, singing in the bar there at the Ride and Rock Guest Ranch across the street from what was then Indian Bend Road, but it was a dirt road. And it was a little resort. And to the north, where McCormick Ranch is today, was just creosote bushes and brush. We would load the people, the wrangler and I'd load the people up on the wagon, and there'd probably be about a dozen or so, and we'd have steaks to cook, and I had my guitar, and it was a horse-drawn wagon, so they thought they were getting a real Wild West experience.
Mrs. McCormick collected the best Arabians she could find. Nabor the white stallion was her treasure. Her preference for Angus and Ayrshire cattle provided meat and milk. She loved gardening. The roses were chosen to match the colors in the bedroom. The driveway was spread with pebbles, which head honcho Winston Duaney and his Hopi helpers would rake each time you drove in and out.
Two of her famous projects were the Indian Crafts Center on Pima Road, which was one of the first Indian arts and crafts centers in Scottsdale. The other was the 80-acre Paradise Park, where in 1957, the first Scottsdale show of the Arabian Horse Association of Arizona was held. Today, the streets where Paradise Park was located are named after many horse breeds, beginning at Arabian Trail and Mountain View Road. Her goal was to put Scottsdale on the map as far as the breeding and showing of Arabians was concerned. Each February, the park became a mecca for the nation's Arabian breeders, growing from 200 entries to more than 1,000. In 1967, the Fowler McCormicks donated 100 acres of McCormick Ranch to the city of Scottsdale, stipulating that it be used as a park for all to enjoy. At that time, the land value was $1 million. Their hope was that the gift would encourage others to give, as well as to make Scottsdale a better place to live for succeeding generations. The area circled in red on the map was known as South Ranch. The original location of the park was to be on 50 acres on the west side of Scottsdale Road. After some negotiations, it was agreed to move across the street wholly within Scottsdale city limits. The land size of the park was cut from 50 to 30 acres. The McCormick's legacy in Scottsdale is the McCormick-Stillman Railroad Park. The property was developed under the guidance of her son, Guy Stillman. The park is a living memorial to railroading history, recognized internationally as one of Scottsdale's featured attractions. It was in 1978 when developers decided to build single-family residences. After Anne McCormick's death on May 25, 1969 at age 89, her breeding stock was sold at public auction. Nabor, at age 19, was bought by Tom Chauncey and Wayne Newton for $150,000, the highest price ever paid for an Arabian at that time. Fowler McCormick, 20 years her junior, died in 1973. The 4,236-acre ranch was sold in 1970 to Kaiser Aetna for $12.1 million.
We heard about the McCormick Ranch, that it was going to open up for homes. Ted and I had wanted to build a custom home. So we went down, we saw this area that we liked. Mr. Suggs owned this land. He said, okay, I will let you choose any lot you want. We became the first or second resident on the ranch at that time. Everybody on our street, as we moved in, it just has been a wonderful move. We've had very few even changes on our street over the years. It's been a perfect place to live.
If you look at the low level of the homeowners' fees here on the ranch and what it was when we started, it really hasn't even kept up with inflation, the amount of increase. And so you've got to say thank you to the association for that.
Well, Prestige Cleaners opened up our McCormick Ranch store in November of '75. Been operating there ever since, continually. We've seen a lot of changes in the ranch. We've seen it grow, of course, but of all of our stores, we really love the ranch, partially because it's not controlled, but it's just thought out, it's planned, it moves well. From the business standpoint, we enjoy that. It's not expanding and contracting like some markets we've been in over the years. We like the people. It's a real friendly neighborhood store. We have 8 locations, and of those, it's probably the most friendly, know who you people are coming in and so forth. So, but it's always been an active center, a well taken care of center. We just enjoy it.
Well, when we're meeting with clients, more or less talking about the ranch, we feel that there's really no other place in the United States, similar to McCormick Ranch as it is, with the weather, the property values that stay as stable as they do, along with the bike paths and the park system and the world-class shopping and restaurants and hotels. There's just no other place like it.
McCormick Ranch Golf Club was built in 1972 by Aetna Life Insurance Company, who was the developer of all of McCormick Ranch. And they built the first 2 nines on the south side of McCormick Parkway, along with the clubhouse, and then they built the second 2 nines on the north side of McCormick Parkway. And Aetna owned and managed the 36 holes for 7 years, and then in 1979 my family bought it, and we've owned it for over 30 years now.
When I came here, this was all desert. When we came out to this site that we're at right now, there was no sidewalk, no paving. It was just a dirt trail in here.
There was a lot of planning that went into McCormick Ranch, and they've done a fine job of keeping the value here and the beauty. It's a beautiful place to live, and I think the value will be retained for years to come.
McCormick Ranch enhances our property because of the convenient location, no distractions, and the lush landscaping you see all around our property.
The McCormicks were extremely civic-minded and generous with their wealth. Their estates were left to more than 100 different charitable and educational institutions and museums around the nation. This included the proceeds from the sale of McCormick Ranch. When the master developer Kaiser Aetna purchased the McCormick Working Ranch in 1969, it was the largest single piece of property sold for a planned community within the confines of a city's limits, and one of the first to commit to underground utilities. The transformation of 4,236 acres of barren land into a world-renowned mixed-use community did not happen by chance. McCormick Ranch has over 122 acres of turf, 34 acres of lakes, parks, shops, resorts, and world-class golfing.
You're the magic in me. You're the lifeblood of me.
Thanks so much, fellow ranchers. I love all your stories, and I look forward to helping you add to these memories in the years to come by keeping McCormick Ranch a community you are proud to call home.